Okay, Broncos country, we have a smaller version of Horsepower Hour tonight. Jeremy, Mark, both of them are gone, but do not be dismayed. Okay, Horsepower Hour is going to be absolutely fire tonight. Brought to you by Kalshi. Use the code DTB for a $10 bonus when you deposit 10. Broncos 4% odds to win the Super Bowl. But Kodiak, we got a lot to break down. Let me go ahead and make sure I get our names up here so people can find us when they need to. Search us on the YouTube algorithm. But first off, man, how are you doing today? Are you pumped to talk some Broncos?
Oh, absolutely. I am pumped to talk some Broncos. We've got a long off season ahead of us, and I cannot wait. Okay. On my channel, I made the title The Broncos Super Bowl Offseason Blueprint. And yeah, I'm here to talk about that. And David and I are going to build a Super Bowl champion that will be competing next February in Justin Herbert Stadium for a Lombardi trophy.
Dude, yes, we got to win it in LA. So the rundown for tonight's show, guys, we're going to talk about this AJ Brown trade. We're going to get into this fun exercise of, hey, 4 moves to fix the Broncos: 1 free agency signing, 1 trade, 1 first round pick, and 1 non-first round pick. What are 4 guys you need the Broncos to get to win us a Super Bowl? That's going to be fun. And then if we got more time, we'll get into some live mock drafts that should be kind of fun to get into. But let's go ahead. Let me share my screen here. I should have had this prepared, but ESPN came out with this article. This was pretty interesting, man, where they're talking about AJ Brown, the Eagles, needing to get rid of uh, AJ Brown, apparently. And they came up with this idea: AJ Brown and a 2026 fifth round pick goes to the Eagles for Riley Moss, a 2026 second round pick, so our second round pick this year, and a 2027 fifth round pick. Kodiak, before we get into the contract numbers for AJ Brown's contract coming back here, what that would look like, what is kind of your off the cuff first look reaction at this type of trade? Is this too much? Is this just right? Would you make this trade?
So if you're asking me, is this too much? Is this just right? In terms of just raw value, I think it fits. I think whoever works at ESPN, I didn't see the full article, but whoever did it, I actually think they did a pretty good job at, navigating into the space. Cause I know that, something that's gone under the radar, but popped up in smaller Bronco circles this offseason is trade Riley Moss because he's going to be a UFA next year. And, Barron unfortunately has to see the field. It just is how it is. Um, but I think this is about right. Okay. I think this is about right for a true guy who you can rely on to take over your offense and take over games. And, ultimately, we know AJ Brown has that ability. And unfortunately, it's just been tough sledding with the Philadelphia Eagles. Apparently, him and Jalen Hurts, even though they don't like each other, according to the media, Hurts is either AJ Brown's son's godfather, or the other way around. I'm not entirely sure. But either way, yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of been a weird situation with the Eagles. But hey, you know what? We saw this earlier in AJ Brown's career where he just needed a fresh start. Once he got off of Tennessee and went to the Philadelphia Eagles, he was truly able to make his impact. So what do you think?
If I had no choice, I would make this trade
Mhm.
because you're getting the best player. As much as, hey, we love Riley Moss, that's the reality of it, man. We got to play Jahdae Barron. You didn't draft him in the first round, number 8 on your big board, right? For him to just, be the cornerback 4 on this team. Now, maybe you trade Jaquan, but why would you do that? Like, none of us would be cool with that. At the end of the day, stuff happens when Riley Moss is on the field. And yeah, I just don't think, maybe this is ignorant of me, I don't think we would take that much of a step back, if at all, if we have Barron and Chris Abrams-Drain handling the outside. I just don't think that. So it does upset me a little bit that, hey, they're throwing in a second round pick as well. If anything, I mean, we got to see how desperate Philadelphia is to unload somebody like AJ Brown. So I was looking at the cap. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Another one, because Philadelphia is going to eat a ton of dead money, whether they release him or trade him. And we can pull this up here with Spot Track. So let me refresh this. So this is the deal right now that Philadelphia is looking with, right? So dead cap right now, if they were to release him, $72 million. Now, if there are draft picks involved, I mean, this could be a post June 1st trade if there weren't draft picks this year involved, like if it was just straight up AJ Brown for Riley Moss. But it's going to be pre June 1st if you got these draft picks involved in this year's draft, right? So the contract, it becomes a little bit more manageable. I mean, Philadelphia eats $43 million in dead money. So maybe they're like, that's why we need the second round pick, right? Is on top of Riley Moss. But I don't know, man. I kind of look at it as like, how desperate are you to get rid of the guy?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And also, a few of the other things are we're getting a
Yeah.
5th round pick back in the trade, which that's not nothing. I mean, obviously, it's not ideal to lose the 2nd round pick, but also we've drafted pretty well in the later rounds, and we also have 2 fourths. So, adding a 5th round pick on top of that, like, yes, losing the 2nd round pick unquestionably would make your draft arsenal weaker, but it's not like, with the extra 4th and with the extra 5th, I think that's fine to offset the
mhm.
potential loss of the 2nd. Like, I think, you're getting rid of Moss and then you're losing a 2nd, but you're, uh, I don't know. It's more like a pick swap, in my opinion. That's kind of the way you got to look at it. And it's just a net negative pick swap for getting the player upgrade.
Yes. And you take a look here. I believe once you do this trade stuff here on Spot Track, this is the contract the Broncos would have, correct? Correct me if
Mhm.
I'm wrong on this, but this is what I think the rest of the contract would look like. Where AJ Brown, I mean, low cap hits, right? And then maybe we're dealing with some void years. I didn't know you could trade void years and all that, but maybe I'm wrong on this. But it seems like he should have manageable cap hits for the next 4 years. Then after that, if there's void years, obviously that's not ideal if that's the case. But that's still money you can work around. And we're talking about $9 million in 2030 with the NFL cap exponentially expanding. So, yeah, I think train for this contract by the looks of it, it wouldn't be horrible.
No.
But I do wonder, yeah, if he'd eventually want a new deal because I mean, I'm trying to see like what's guaranteed out of this. I'm not really sure.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. I don't know. That's interesting to think about, though. But I want to say hi to some people in the chat real quick.
well,
Ron
yeah,
says, I bet you a soda of your choice. Riley Moss is still on the team. Well, if you could find me some Frosty's Blue Cream that I haven't been able to find in a long time, then I would love that.
yeah.
Um, People used to be down on Bulls with the penalties. I see the same thing going on with Moss. See, the issue is like even with Bulls being erratic early in his career, I still felt like he held up pretty well despite that. Now, that might be a, oh, hey, Miss Abraham Lincoln, how was the play besides from your husband getting a shot sort of thing? But the reality of the situation is I think Bulls still was pretty good. And, the thing with Riley Moss, though, is that he just doesn't profile as a playmaker. You got to make DBs, you got to make opposing quarterbacks pay for punishing you when you're opposite Patrick Surtain. And he gets PBUs, he gets incompletions, but we need to start generating some turnovers, man. We need to get some short fields.
Hmm. Yeah, we definitely need to start doing that. And again, yeah, if you're going to be getting 12 pass interference penalties, you need to at least be offsetting that with generating some turnovers. And he just hasn't done that. So, yeah, I would make him a trade chip and let's see what could happen. Now, AJ Brown isn't my top choice on who I'd prefer the Broncos to like bring in here from a trade perspective. But I think I would I would welcome him if he came out here, especially over somebody like Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, of course, 100%. Listen, man, Tyreek Hill just got released today, y'all, and I am just a huge no thank you on that. I know you brought it up. You actually brought it up last week that during horsepower hour that you could see Tyreek Hill getting released. So well done. Good call, David, for being able to bring that to light for us. But I'm just so good on the Tyreek Hill thing. Like, I get it. I'm fine with Adiva, okay? I'm fine with Pickens. I'm fine with Ayuk. I'm fine with any of those guys that profile as a head case if I think it's going to be worth it for them. But Tyreek Hill is one of the NFL's most loose cannons on the, just with the off the field stuff. And also, he's just a 31, going to be 32-year-old wide receiver whose game is heavily predicated on speed. That's just not going to age well. It's just not going to.
No, no.
And his knee went sideways. His knee went sideways when they were playing the Jets or whatever. So I'm just not about it. But I'm interested to see what everybody else
No,
says.
no,
BK
I'd say
808,
no.
F Tyreek, DV, enough said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 31 other teams agreed with you. But then the Chiefs were like, he could run really fast. So then,
Yeah.
yeah.
Another good comment here, Logan. And, Logan might be having some anxiety around this team bringing guys back that shouldn't be back. And after this Kliss article dropped today, I think I think we all have maybe a little bit more of a reason to be worried with Logan here. But he's saying we can't bring Singleton back. We need a linebacker who takes less than 3 days business to get from sideline to sideline. And just wait till you see Mike Kliss dropping the idea that the Broncos could place the $3.55 million restricted free agent tag on freaking Nate Atkins, suggesting, or to ensure that he's not scooped up by another team, the second round tender for $5.88 million. Kodiak, man, how are you feeling about that?
Man, whenever Kliss drops an article, it has me kind of worried, which I mean, I guess this offseason, which I guess, with this new Broncos regime, I will say that not a lot gets out there, which thank goodness, because I don't know. I think Kliss might honestly just be a little bored because, he was thinking about putting the second round tender on Nate Atkins, and that would be asinine. First of all, nobody is giving you Okay. Nobody's giving you a second round pick. Nobody's offer sheeting Nate Adkins. Okay. Nobody's giving up their second round pick to get a tight end that has like probably 90 yards total in the past year or so, just catching the football, but also blocking tight ends. They're not worth $6 million against the cap. Okay. And also, Nate Adkins is part of the problem. He's not the singular problem with this tight end room, but he is part of the problem. And I would like to see us move on from this offseason. I'm good on Jerry Jeudy.
Now, a good comment from Darian here. He'd rather have Mike Evans than Tyreek Hill. I'm right there with
Yeah,
you.
I would too.
Yes. But if we're talking between Singleton and Sternad, honestly, Kodiak, when it comes to inside linebacker, if we're not going to spend big money on Devin Lloyd, which I hope we don't. Justin Sternad, he's probably around. I think he falls within my top 5 of like inside linebackers that I'd like the Broncos to sign to start.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think you're crazy for saying that, but one of the issues I just have with Sternad is I feel like he just wouldn't bring something, that would raise the ceiling of the room,
Nope.
okay? You know, and the problem is that Sternad played very, very well this past year, but he's going into his 7th year in the NFL, and he has never been a starter on any of our teams. And we've had some really not good linebackers over the past few years. Like, I like Sternad. I hope he gets paid. And he said that he wants to go somewhere with a chance to start. Great job. But I think other than Greenlaw, everybody needs to be gone. I think you need to just start completely from scratch. Greenlaw and Lavelle Bailey as your LB1, LB2, that would excite me a lot more than Singleton and Sternad next year. Singleton is just get off my team. I promise you, Broncos, Sean Payton, I know you're listening to us right now. Okay. I know you like our internet shows or whatever. I promise you, Alex Singleton is not the only person who can communicate. He's not the only inside linebacker in the world who can be a kind person off the field. I promise you, there's another solution out there.
He's not the only one that can force a fumble in a big game. Like,
Exactly. Exactly.
or like make a blitz, right? Or because he blew up right against the Giants on that pick
Scatterboo, yeah.
play.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was him. But yeah, maybe Caden Ellis is the move. Maybe I don't know. I'm probably a little bit more on the side of I'd like to see him back because maybe you draft somebody like Jacob Rodriguez or man, what's his name? The short linebacker. He's like 5'11" from Texas A&M. Tarian York, is that his
Hill?
name? York?
Anthony Hill?
No, Anthony Hill's from Texas. I
Oh
mean, I'd
yeah.
be cool with
Oh,
Anthony.
A&M, Jacob Rodriguez.
No, he's Texas Tech.
Oh God, who am I thinking of? You know what? You're
York.
right.
I think it's something York, but one of these linebackers, and then next year, later on in the year, he can come up and start, right? I see him as a little bit of an insurance policy, and I don't think he'll be quite expensive at all. So, really quick, Kodiak, we do have a sub here from a Colts fan. Sarah says, I'm a new sub. I'm a Colts fan, but respect the Broncos. I have lots of cousins who are Broncos fan, and my mom knows the ownership.
What?
Wow. Well,
Wow.
can you please tell them not to tender Nate Atkins? That would be fantastic. But yeah, we need another tight end. We need another receiver. Um, uh, shall we get into our next exercise? I think this is a good segue, Kodiak. I'm going to put you on the spot. Give me
Yes.
one trade, one free agency signing, who you're spending our first round pick on, and one more draft pick. 4 total moves to bring the Broncos a Lombardi trophy next year. What are you doing?
All right. So as far as one trade, one free agency signing, one day one pick, one non-day one pick. All right. How would you guys feel about going out there and trading for assets on the defensive side of the ball? Nah, I'm kidding. Okay. Nah, I'm kidding. I can't be a hypocrite with the Devin Lloyd stuff and be like, we need to invest less in defense and then go out and trade for a defensive player. No, 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 no. But if you're just asking me straight up who I would like the Broncos to trade for, I think it needs to be uh option, but there's not many good like trade candidates out there that are A, young, B, ascending, but you know what? George Pickens, all right? I think he's well worth it. I think he's well worth what you'd have to give him. And you know what? I don't care about the diva stuff. Okay. The reason I don't care about the diva stuff is because, we can't just keep running it back with these good, oh, he's good off the field dudes. And then suddenly that's how you pigeonhole yourself into Lil Jordan Humphrey getting 74% of the snaps in the AFC Championship game. Can't have it. We need a different approach. All right. As far as one trade, what are you thinking about, Mr. Talks?
Well, you guys know I've talked a lot about Jalen Waddle on this channel. So like he would be my go-to guy, but I'm gonna keep things fresh, a new perspective.
Mhm.
Another guy that was brought up on this ESPN trade predictions, they had a very interesting one. Basically, Max Crosby traded straight up for DJ Moore. If you're the Raiders, man, no. You're not trading Max Crosby where the haul you're getting back is DJ Moore. No. You're trading him for a treasure chest of draft picks. That's what you're doing, right? So why not Riley Moss for DJ Moore straight up? I mean, Bears need a ton
Oh,
of secondary help. I think that could be a fun one. And DJ Moore, I mean, we saw him quit on that one play like a year and a half ago or whatever, man. Outside of that, seems like he has a great reputation in Chicago. He hasn't been an issue, anything like that. So he might be a better, culture fit for the team compared to some of these other divas that, I'm cool with us going after. So that's my trade. Would you trade Riley Moss straight up for DJ Moore?
yeah, I would. I mean, I know that Moore is not a descending player, but I think he would add something, and then you've kind of solved your receiver need there, and anything else you can get your hands on is extra. The problem, once again, though, is that DJ Moore is not really an ascending player, but you know what? If you could work something out to where he is expendable for Chicago and you can get him at a cheap price, then I think it could make sense for us. And yeah, Darian Boost Amonte says, I don't love DJ, but I would do it. Yeah, like I'm not in love with
Yeah.
DJ Moore either, but Chicago has a litany of skill position guys. Okay. They just drafted Loveland, they just drafted Odunze. Burden's ascending as well. So at some point they're gonna need to move on from DJ Moore.
Okay. So you trade for George Pickens. You're a smart man. By the way, what are we giving up for George Pickens? Is it the reported second round pick? That's all the Cowboys want for him? I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I mean, that's just listen, guys. It ain't Madden. That being said, if we were able to, wait, hold on. Where's my phone? Okay, my phone right here. All right, Jerry Jones. You guys see my Nathan McKinnon background right here, right? All right, Jerry Jones. If you're calling me and you're saying Kodiak, second round pick for George Pickens right now, I am breaking my phone, hitting the accept button. All right. I'm smashing the accept button, even though I know that's not how trades are negotiated or whatever. But yes, a second round pick for George Pickens. That's all. That's all. And you don't have to give up any other assets to do it. George Pickens is your second round pick from this year's draft class. Like, come on. Oh my God. I would love that. I would love that. What about you, David?
Yeah, man. Second round pick, I'd throw Riley Moss in there as well. Remember, man, the man ain't even 25 yet. He's not even 25 yet. So yeah, I'm right there with Darian. And hey, this I guess in this exercise, you're not trading pick 30. I would still trade pick 30. I'd trade pick 30 straight up for George Pickens if I could.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if we're doing that.
Completely fine. But BK808 says also Denzel Boston is going to be better than Odunze. A little interesting.
We haven't really seen what Odunze can do with more there. That's why they got to trade him to us.
Honestly, yeah. And eventually they are going to need their young weapons to step up, and eventually they are going to need to put more resources towards the other areas of their team. And I think Ben Johnson kind of already sees DJ Moore as the odd one out there. Odunze is going to be awesome though once he does hit.
Throw in Bidet. I think that, man, that's like negative capital. Like they'd want us to throw in an extra draft pick with Bidet. Thankfully, he's a free agent though. But
yeah,
Nathaniel coming in here though. It's good to have other perspectives on here. He says, I don't get why everybody wants to trade Moss for AJ Brown. Like, I don't think that's a smart. I think Moss is better than a lot of people think. Moss is like, he's one of those players where each side has ammo. That's what makes it really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm a slut for some weapons. Get this team some weapons.
Listen, you guys can see the jersey in my background right there, guys. I love Riley Moss, but at some point we need to take from the defensive side of the ball and give to the offensive side of the ball. That's just what needs to happen when the team has been, when the defense has been the one carrying the weight of this team for most of the past 2 seasons. Now the offense has definitely stepped up. And the offense, honestly, was the better unit in the second half of the year against the good teams, in my opinion. But I don't think it's a crazy idea. And we do, corner is a hard position to find. It's a hard position to solve. According to our GM, a franchise corner is harder to find than a franchise quarterback, right? So I don't know. I get why everybody has their reservations, but I'm fine with doing it. I'm fine with if you're just asking me straight up, Moss for AJ Brown, I think so.
Yes. Okay. So that's our one trade. Now, what's your one must-have free agent signing after you're trading for George Pickens?
All right, y'all. So we're going to start with round 1. David and I are both going to start with
Wait.
Oh, sorry. I completely misheard you, and I just completely jumped the gun on this exercise in my head. Okay.
You're that excited.
So. Yeah. All right. I had a guy in mind that I was super excited to talk about, but my one free agency signing, all right, guys, Breece Hall needs to be the number 1 target this upcoming offseason. All right. I think David and I are pretty much in agreement, but, I called him the next Saquon Barkley on last week's Horsepower Hour, and I think everybody who has been in the Broncos space could be like, yeah, this guy is the next Saquon Barkley, okay? Here's why. First of all, he was on a poverty New York team, drafted to a New York team that lost a lot of games, and then what do? They go to their next teams, and they completely break out, and they honestly break football, okay? Philadelphia Eagles in 2024 with Saquon Barkley just absolutely ran over teams, and that's how they got another ring, okay? Signing Breece Hall is a championship level move for this team, in my opinion, okay? I like Algier. I like Walker, but we need a playmaker back there, all right? And signing Breece Hall, signing all those guys are good. Like, it makes our run game better, but Breece Hall is a championship move, in my opinion. What about you, David?
Yeah, my pick is Breece Hall as well. I've been doing like a video on Breece Hall like every 2 or 3 days. Like, hopefully Sean Payton sees it after he unblocks me on Twitter. And he's like, you know what, this David Talks Broncos guy, he was onto something with A.T. Perry. I think he's onto something here with Breece Hall and the rest of his friends, obviously, right? By the way, rocking the bucket hat, it's awesome, man. Continue to rock the bucket hat.
I need more.
But man, Brees Hall, and I don't know if you saw this video, Kodiak. It's okay if you didn't. I don't expect everybody to watch my videos. But when you're talking about what running backs bring to the offense, dude, they're still the best bargain in NFL free agency right now. I mean, dude, we're talking about giving him the same money per year that Darnell Mooney's making at
Yeah,
$13 million a season. That's like on the high end.
guys, yeah, and, like, I get it. It's been a relatively replaceable position over the past few years, but guess what? These guys are only getting better. They're only aging better. Okay, we had the 2017 draft class, which was absolutely historic for that position. And all those guys have aged pretty well. Jones still playing high level football, and now you have a chance to sign a guy entering his prime. All right. He's going to be 25 by the time week one kicks off this upcoming year. So he's still a young football player. Okay. The running back age apex theoretically is 26. I imagine it's been raised after these past few years, but overall, yeah, man, Brees Hall is just that good. All right. The receiver market is completely broken. You don't want to overpay for these scrubs in free agency. You don't want to pay the Jaguars tax that they did every single year where you're overpaying mid-level guys. 2021 Patriots, what did they do after running it back with Super Cam during the COVID era? They paid up for this arsenal of mid between Kendrick Bourne, Austin Hooper. There was a bunch of other dudes in that same offseason that they went out and got. So you're right. If you're going to invest in free agency, uh, Otten is probably going to cost something. Bellinger is probably going to cost something. All the tight ends are going to cost something. Wandale is probably going to get $20 million a year. Honestly, if he hits the open market, Pierce is probably going to get north of that. So yeah, but Brees Hall is the best player of all those guys, and I don't even think it's close. Like
Yeah.
5,000 yards in the past 4 years on the Jets, missing half of his rookie year due to an ACL tear, which happened on our field, by the way. Guys, this guy is a legit generational talent.
Yes, with NPC offensive coordinators like Nate Hackett. Look what he's doing.
Exactly. And he's been the victim of Rodgers politics over the past few years as well and still found a way to be productive. So, yeah, overall, I'm just really, really excited about the idea of signing him. I think he needs to be our number one target.
And here's the thing in a vacuum, Kodiak, who impacts the Broncos offense more in just a vacuum? Wan'Dale Robinson or Brees Hall?
Brees Hall. Because Wandale, yes, he brings something that you don't have on this team, but Brees Hall is legit a top 5, top 10 running back when he is, on.
Yeah.
And he's produced on some horrible teams. The Jets have the second lowest offensive output since he was drafted in the league in 2022, only ahead of Tennessee by like 0.4 points per game. It's still, even still.
Yeah, it ain't a conversation. Now, hey, maybe he's not top 5 to some of y'all, but I think he's got to be right around that when it comes to the talent level that he is. And again, with some of these guys like Derrick Henry just kind of on the descent finally at this point. But yeah, man, we need Hall. And again, if you're looking for instant impact, you can spend 13 million or whatever on Brees Hall a year, or spend 20 plus million on Wan'Dale Robinson, who I mean, he could bring a new thing to our offense, but I don't think he's walking in here as like the undoubted number one weapon we have needed, right?
No, and trust us. Sean Payton, he doesn't like small dudes. So then you throw a 5'8" guy in there. Listen, I love Wandale. I'm 5'8" as well. I love short kings, but Sean Payton doesn't. And that's just what we have to deal with. Okay. Marvin Mims is 5'11", and he has not gotten on the field at all to the extent that he should have the past 3 years, even with the coach going into the podium every week and saying, we got to get Marvin the ball more.
Oh, just muted yourself.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Okay.
did something on my keyboard because I got too amped up. But yeah, no, Marvin Mims, like all I'm saying is that Wan'Dale Robinson just does not provide something, in my opinion, that would be worth paying him. And you know what? I think Brees Hall is probably the best free agent available this offseason, just pound for pound, any position.
Yes, I would say so too. And hey, maybe his contract goes up close to 15 million. If so, that's still a non-issue for me. Again, he's going to be 1,000-yard back, a guy that immediately has trust from Sean Payton. That's such a big factor in all this stuff. But anyways, Cody Cheppa in here saying he agrees with Brees Hall. He wants more from this wide receiver room, but Troy was on his way to 1,000 yards, like you were saying, Kodiak, till he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But light a fire in that room, make them all step up. Yes. Any comments on that? Or I wanted to get to actually, since you picked Brees Hall, I got another name that I'll get to.
Go ahead. I think we've covered Brees Hall to the extent that, I mean, you and me both, like on our channels over the past week or two, we've been patting the table for him. Yes. But who else? Who else does Mr. Talks have that could bring us to Super Bowl?
The number two back in free agency. It's Travis Etienne. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, now is he a little bit redundant with RJ's skill set? Man, I don't care about that at all. Get a guy in here that can take it to the house. He can be trusted in the passing game. Hasn't always been utilized in the red zone, but that's okay because RJ is a pretty good red zone back. Like he can get those touchdowns, but then we draft a guy. We draft a thumper or just bring back JK. Preferably both because we'll have 4 running backs on the roster. But go out and get Travis Etienne, and you probably don't got to pay as much for Brees Hall because this man's like right in the middle of his prime. I think at like 26 or 27 years old now. So, yes, just go get Travis Etienne.
Yeah, you know what? It's not a bad idea. All right. Travis Etienne was still pretty productive this past year, and I don't know how much he would cost. But again, I just think, to circle it back to Brees Hall, sorry, this is going to turn into a Brees Hall Glaze show. I mean, whatever impact you're getting from the Brees Hall contract, I promise you, or from paying Travis Etienne, I promise you it would be just more worth it to pony up for Brees Hall.
BK's bringing up a great question here, saying Etienne over K9. I'm sorry, Kenneth Walker, I just haven't been thinking of him as a free agent because I think Seattle will resign. It's just bad optics not to re-sign your Super Bowl MVP when they're in the middle of their prime, and their other running back tore their ACL in the playoffs.
Sharp.
Yeah. So let's get to the first round pick, Kodiak. Okay, so who do you got right now? You got George Pickens, you got Brees Hall. Who's the first round pick to save this franchise, bring him a Super Bowl?
Listen, guys, this is going to be really, really unpopular, but last year, I wanted Derek Harmon on this team so bad. I wanted Derek Harmon on this team so badly. But, guys, you cannot go into this offseason with Savion Jones as the sole plan on the defensive line starting next to Zach Allen, okay? He was inactive for 15 games this past year, and he played only 33 snaps, okay? Now, not to say he can't improve, and I know it was a deep room, but you can't just bank on him being the day one starter. You can't, it's not plug and play, okay? I would argue corner is very plug and play on our team. As long as you don't put Levi Wallace out there, I think corner is pretty plug and play. Defensive line, guys, we saw Jonathan Harris in his first year, in Zach Allen's first year with us. We had one of the most, least impactful pass rushers in the league, if that makes sense. So, guys, Peter Woods has been falling a lot in mock drafts recently, okay? We need an interior guy, to pass rush alongside Zach Allen, okay? I just feel like we don't really have that on this team, all right? Awazarike, good run defender, but for some reason he just can't really plug gaps even though he's 320 pounds. Roach, another good run defender. DJ Jones, another good run defender, but Peter Woods is somebody who's been consistently falling in mock drafts to number 30 for the Broncos. And honestly, it doesn't even need to be Peter Woods, but I'm a huge fan of going trenches with this pick, all right? Number 30, I'm going defensive line, man, but we need a 4-eye, all right? You need a 4-eye. You can't get edge. You definitely can't get an edge. You can't get another, run stuffing interior, even though I know that McDonald has been a favorite of a lot of people. But ultimately, I'm going with Peter Woods, man. He's one that I think with the industry being consistently lower on him as the offseason has gone on, in large part because of the fact that Clemson kind of torpedoed their season. And I don't think just anybody was playing their best ball there. I'm going with Peter Woods, man. It's not a foregone conclusion that he's not going to be there just because of the fact that he was mocked in the top 5 this past year. He's just been going lower and lower and lower. And I would love for the Broncos to snag him at number 30.
Yes. Yeah, Daniel Jeremiah had Peter Woods going to the Broncos in his first mock draft. When I've been doing like the PFF stuff, he's still like going pretty early. So hopefully we can get some good luck. If Peter Woods falls to us, this would be fantastic because you're right, Kodiak. We should have gone after Derek Harmon. How often were we talking about Derek Harmon the 2 months leading up to the draft last year? And we skipped over him for, right now our fourth cornerback on the roster. Um, it's ridiculous. But I love that pick. With my pick, though, I'm going to hide this. I'm going to go a little bit different of a direction. So you got, let's see, Peter Woods, George Pickens, Brees Hall.
Yes.
That's great. And who do I got again? I got DJ Moore, Travis Etienne. All right. This might upset people, but guys, the offensive line could be better. It could be better. Going trenches, it's not sexy, like you said, Kodiak, but it is so needed. Dude, we cannot allow our offensive and defensive lines to age out. We can't do what the Dallas Cowboys did. Now look at them. Emmanuel Pregnon, I think he's a first-round talent. I'm just a guy on YouTube, though. We'll see how he tests at the combine coming up, but I think that he totally is a possibility at pick 30 and a guy that you can plug and play there at left guard. There's a huge Ben Powers question right now, too. I think the Broncos have all the leverage in terms of maybe he takes a pay cut to come back and compete for a starting job with Palcho. I also don't like the idea of Palcho being a long-term guard. I would prefer for us to tag him with that second-round tender and prepare for him to take over for Mike McGlinchey. And we just, we draft a total beast in Emmanuel Pregnon, man. Size, 6'5", 318, dominated the Big Ten out in Oregon. And if I remember correctly, he's a Colorado native as well. He's from Denver. And it's not like you got to move the positions he played. He played left guard. So this is the kind of guy that we need, man. To help bolster our offensive line. I think left guard and center sometimes were our biggest weak spots. I have been honestly like low-key kind of worried that like Quinn Miners got like long COVID or something like that, like Jonathan Taves did. Because he was battling some sickness all year, and we saw that his play just diminished down the stretch. But hopefully he's going to be fully recovered from whatever that was. But that makes it all more important to draft a guard high if you don't know what Quinn Miners' medical situation's looking like.
Yeah, no, 100%. And just a little bit, I know that there is some pushback right here. All right. He's 25. Guys, we like our older prospects. It's just what we do in Broncos country. All right. We took a 24-year-old quarterback. We took a 23-year-old quarterback in the first round last year. Guys, we like our old prospects. It's not that we like our old prospects. It's just that this regime likes their older prospects.
That's just college football now. You're just getting guys playing longer.
Yeah, exactly. And, it remains to be seen how the NIL stuff is actually impacting these like guys' shelf lives or whatever. But this Emmanuel Pregnon, guys, he's a dog. All right. He played at TJ for high school. And then he went to Wyoming as an unranked recruit. Then he went to USC. Then he went to Oregon, and he's just done nothing except ascend. All right.
Yes. Hey, wasn't Garrett Bowles 25 when we drafted him too?
He was. And even though, athleticism was still his big selling point as a prospect, he completely developed his game into being something completely better. So honestly, I don't care how old Pregnon is. I'm trying to win a Super Bowl within the next 3 years. All right. So I don't know. That just kind of 2032. We'll worry about that when we cross that bridge, but we don't need to be worried about 2032, 2033 right now.
Man, a lot of us, I think there's more people that don't like this pick. It's all right. I'll forgive y'all. You guys can tell me I'm right here in 2 months. Okay. I'm just playing. Let's get into the last pick. Okay. So it could be rounds 2 through 7. Who is the guy the Broncos need to make sure they go and get outside the first round?
Well, I have not addressed linebacker in this exercise yet, and I am going to put the Broncos out of excuses. All right. We've put them out of excuses on the offensive side of the ball. Okay. But, what do you love? What do we hear a lot about our inside linebacker one whose last name rhymes with Dingleton? All right. Great culture guy, communicates well, great human off the field. All right.
No, he's too corny to be captain.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm going to put the Broncos out of excuses, and we are going to select a guy who's currently mocked round 5, round 4 right now, Bryce Betcher out of Oregon. Okay. The reason we're drafting Bryce Betcher is because if you look at the scouting reports, if you look at everything that any connected person has to say about him, oh, he was the leader of Oregon's defense. Oh, he loves to call the defensive scheme up there at Oregon. Oh, wow. Look how good of a guy he is outside the locker room. All right. Or outside the practice field or whatever. How good of a guy is he? Well, here you go. All right. If you're going to have Alex Singleton who has zero sideline to sideline ability, man, actually get somebody with some upside in coverage. All right. Bryce Betcher, another guy who you said it, David. He is Big Ten tested, and that matters a lot. We've got a lot of really, really good tight ends from the Big Ten in this upcoming draft. All right. Max Clare out of Ohio
Mhm.
State, and listen, he was more than up for the challenge. Betcher was more than up for the challenge for, doing this. And ultimately, I just think that he's coming into the NFL more ready than typical linebacker prospects are when it comes to the coverage ability, which I think is fantastic. But yeah, if you're looking for somebody who's fiery, you're looking for somebody who is just a spark plug for your defense. All right, let's remove all the excuses for one of your least effective starters to be on the field. That's basically what I'm doing.
Dude, I love it, man. Yeah. I'm still seeing like all these mock draft simulators. He's like going like 6th, 7th round. I think he's gonna go much higher than that, man. I think we'll have to use a mid-round pick on him, maybe 4th or 5th round. But Oregon, they're a great program, man, when it comes to I don't know, just drafting players from Oregon. It seems to work out a lot, man. Right now with Bo, Troy, a few of the other guys. Forsyth, I would say that he's still a hit as a 7th round pick out of
Yeah.
Oregon. No doubt. So I got no qualms bringing in more Oregon players. Hey, if we get Kenyon Sadiq, Bryce Betcher, yes, I'm ecstatic about that. Um, Okay. Well, the guy that I'm going with is a guy that I've been glazing on, and I'm going to continue to glaze on for this draft season. If we're not trading up in the 7th round or into the 6th round to get him, we might just have to use our 5th round pick on him. It seems a little rich, but we'll see how he tests. I'm assuming he's going to be at the NFL Combine this next week, but that is the guy who literally does it all. A huge reason why Navy has been so good, why their offense has ascended, is Eli Heidenreich. They got him listed as a fullback, but you know what he does? He plays wide receiver, he plays slot back, he plays tight end, he plays fullback, he plays running back. Is this not a Sean Payton guy? Okay. And watch this guy run routes. He doesn't run running back routes, split out. This guy runs real wide receiver routes. This guy really separates. He can block. He's a hard nosed guy. You know, he's going to have no discipline issues being from the Navy. He's going to be locked in. But I absolutely love this dude. He can, and when you're talking about roster space, you got him on the 53. He can be your, backup tight end, one of your 4 backup tight ends, or 3 backup tight ends. He can be your 4th running back on the roster. If guys go down with injury, he prevents us from throwing Lil Jordan Humphrey out there, right? He can be that 7th wide receiver. He can play special teams. He is everything. You could split him out. He can play in condensed formations. You can use him in the red zone and in short yardage, dude. Eli Heidenreich, just go watch his highlights, guys. I'm
And
all about this guy. He's my draft crush this year.
without even looking, 941 receiving yards in a military style offense at the college level. That has to be a record, right? I
Yes.
don't know. Yeah, that probably is a Navy record. Like without me even looking at anything and just looking at the raw production, Heidenreich probably has the receiving yards record. But I mean, yeah, man, I'm tired of these non-factors. All right, I'm tired of these guys like Troutman. I'm tired of these guys like Adkins. All right, I'm tired of these guys like Kroll. All right, at least with Eli Heidenreich, you're getting something exciting. All right,
He's 6 feet 206.
yeah, he's 6 feet 206, and again, you saw him line up everywhere. But also, military schools have a huge weight requirement. So he hasn't even hit his athletic potential yet. He hasn't even filled out because, and I think that's why he's going to fall in the 7th round because ultimately they still have their weight limits, right, for their football players. And yeah,
That could be interesting. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. But Eli Heidenreich, this is a Sean Payton guy. When Andy said Eli Heidenreich, Sean Payton guy, I went up and looked up his highlights. I'm in love. I'm in love. If we don't draft him, I'm going to be devastated. Just like not drafting a 6th-round punter, I was going to be upset. We better draft Eli Heidenreich. He changes everything. So that's who we got. Remind me of your 4 again to win a Super Bowl with the Broncos. Who you got?
Pickens,
Here you go.
Pickens, Brees, Peter Woods, and Bryce Betcher.
Beautiful. 2 on offense, 2 on defense. Got DJ Moore, Travis Etienne, Emmanuel Pregnon, guard at 30, and then Eli Heidenreich. I guess I went full offense for these for these moves. But yeah, we still got to draft some defensive line, some linebackers. I saw people were mentioning like Jacob Rodriguez, all that. So yeah, that's what we got to do. Spend assets on offense, get a few pieces on defense. But I mean, if we keep Riley Moss, we don't need to even draft a secondary player. I don't think so.
Right.
Yeah, I got no idea if he's related to any WWE wrestlers, but does Heidenreich play power forward? Well, what if I told you there was a former power forward in this draft? Tyron Montgomery out of John Carroll, Division III, absolutely tore up the Senior Bowl. He was like the big wide receiver that won from the Senior Bowl. He's only been playing football for 2 years, Kodiak.
Sounds like a George Payton 3rd round pick if I've ever heard one.
I know, man. I got a few comments here that I wanted to highlight. First, I know, man, you're about this guy. Talk to us about another Eli available in the draft.
Man, I love me some Eli Raritan, okay? One thing I love about Notre Dame is that they had such an explosive offense this upcoming year. And whenever you're watching, the running backs, whatever you're watching, Price, Love, or even Malachi Fields, there's one guy who seems to stick out a lot, and it is Eli Raritan, okay?
Mhm.
Eli Raritan's an absolute problem. I think he's the best combination of just size, just speed, just overall athletic upside in this upcoming year's draft. I don't factor injuries or anything like that, but he did tear his right ACL twice. I can't remember when. I think it was early on in his college career, like either 21 or 22. But yeah, I think Eli Raritan is such a demon. All right. He has athletic upside in the receiving game. And man, I watched him against Miami. He's going 1-on-1 with Bain. And yeah, Bain was going to get his wins, but Raritan got his wins too. So one of the biggest frustrations is that we draft these guys for a skill set and they're not actually good at the skill set. I promise you, Eli Raritan actually has receiving upside. Eli Raritan actually has good blocking capabilities. And yeah, overall, it just remains to be seen how he tests. But man, I'm all over some Eli Raritan.
Wonderfully said. Nathaniel saying, raised in Ohio, I would love them to get an Ohio tight end. I also went to the same high school as Derek Wolf,
Wow.
Beaver local. Have you killed a bobcat? too. Um, are you
Yeah.
hated by the rest of local radio out here as well?
Did you have
Uh,
some
but
random hunting show on altitude that would air, like, whenever I would forget to turn the Avs game off, and then suddenly it's, like, 2 in the morning, and I'm watching Derek Wolf's hunting show?
oh my god. Yeah, but hey, Max Clare is available. I don't think he's from Ohio, but he always played at Ohio State. You know, man, I'm cool with it. Um, Question here from BK: did you watch the tape on CJ Allen? Big fan of his at 30. If we can't get Boston or Sadiq, how do you feel about pick 30 going to inside linebacker from Georgia, CJ Allen?
To be completely honest, to answer your first question, BK808, no, I'm still on the running backs, so I have not watched CJ Allen on tape. That being said, philosophically, I just don't really know how in I am at spending number 30 on inside linebacker because I know that it still is a huge weakness on this defense, but it's also a devalued position in the NFL. Okay. There's a reason these guys were getting spammed 3 for 30 contracts last year or 3 for 39 in free agency. All right. It's still a relatively devalued position. I think that's what gets lost in the sauce is that all the good news is that all of our needs this offseason besides wide receiver are relatively low value positions. All right. Either way, I haven't watched much CJ Allen. I will very soon. But yeah, I do like those other two guys, Boston and Sadiq. I'd probably go Boston over Sadiq right now, but that's assuming we can't swing a trade or add in free agency. But I've not watched CJ Allen to answer your question. But
Yeah, I watched
philosophically,
him a
I
little
don't.
bit. I mean, he's fantastic. You know, he's a great player. I feel kind of similar with you, Kodiak, especially, hey, if we bring Dre Greenlaw back, which I assume we're going to, you're talking about likely a guy. I mean, I guess we do this. We have a track record of doing this like last year with Barron, but it's like, why spend the first round pick on a guy who's not going to be on the field all the time? You can get a guy to develop for a year or two and then take over later on in the draft. I would rather, you're talking about slightly reaching on a guy. I would rather reach on an offensive lineman at pick 30 or a defensive lineman at pick 30 than go with an inside linebacker. That's just me.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. But anything stick out to you about CJ Allen's actual like skill set, like when you watched him play for the Dogs?
I mean, I think he's a great all around linebacker. I feel like he looks a little thin. Um, Maybe that's just me, but I feel like, he's got the sideline to sideline speed. Looking at his statistics again, that's one thing as opposed to watching a bunch of coverage stuff in film. I don't know if he's the best in coverage, but again, when it comes to stopping the run, doing all the things to call the defense, getting sideline to sideline, I think that I think he's got great instinct. So, yeah, I guess I would be okay with it. There's a bunch of other guys that I'd prefer over him, though, for the reasons you laid out, Kodiak. This was an interesting idea right here. Getting back to the trades, Clifton Harris. Broncos should make a trade proposal to the Cardinals for Marvin Harrison Jr., 2026 second and a 2027 third round pick. Hey, are the Cards in need of a cornerback, particularly one with lots of pass interference penalties?
See, the thing is, this sounds great, but I really just doubt that MHJ is going to be available for trade, particularly because, where he was taken at his draft slot, if you trade him, it's probably an insurmountable, like enormous dead cap hit that you're taking on, not just for 2026, but 2027 as well. And I just don't think the Cardinals are that out on him yet, especially because Monty Austinfort took him, and he's still there. He's still the GM. So, yeah,
Michael Ford is an offensive guy. Probably won't want to get rid of him.
exactly. So I feel like trading him for a 2026 second round pick, a 2027 third round pick, you used a fourth overall pick on him above guys like Malik Neighbors, above guys like Joe Alt, above just a bunch of phenomenal players that went throughout that draft. So ultimately, I don't know. I just don't see the Cardinals doing it. I think they'd be foolish to even accept this. I think at this point, just stick with your guns.
Mhm,
At this point, just hope MHJ can, become what you thought he would.
mhm. And, this is the last one I had bookmarked right here from Zav I don't know. Yeah, I tried. Is it just me or the offensive line still has room to take another leap? The interior is pretty weak to me, and McGlinchey has disappointed me. Kodiak, thoughts on the offensive line moving into this offseason?
Well, it's certainly not as good as PFF thinks it is. I think we saw in that AFC Championship game, even before the blizzard hit, that Bo Nix masks a lot of flaws with this offensive line. Okay. I remember week 18 against the Chargers, their backups were completely smoking our first string guys. And Bo Nix was making it completely just a non factor. But I don't know. Miners, unfortunately, had a really bad game. And that's my last memory of him. So I'm a little down on Miners right now, but you know what? I think you're right. I think Wattenberg. Obviously, I think Wattenberg's done a fantastic job because anytime we have an aggressive front coming here, we generally do a pretty good job of containing them. Like the Texans this past year, I feel like we did fantastic
Mhm.
against Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. But either way, to answer your question, yes, they still have room to make another leap. Like Ben Powers isn't the highest ceiling guy in the world, but continuity is big with this coaching staff and with this unit, and I think it should be that way. The only thing is, I wouldn't say McGlinchey's been disappointing. I would agree in 2023 he was disappointing, but I
Yeah.
think over the past 2 years he's been well worth it. Okay, people forget that we were the Browns of right tackles before McGlinchey got here. We had trash cans year in and year out at right tackle until McGlinchey got here. I'm fine with him being the highest cap hit on our team over the next
Yes.
couple of years until all those other extensions kick in. But I wouldn't say McGlinchey's disappointed at all. I think he's gotten better every single year.
Yeah, he's our best right tackle we've had here. I think, man. He might have even been better than like early Orlando Franklin.
Mhm.
Orlando Franklin was pretty good though. Then they moved him to guard at with the Chargers. But yeah, I don't really have anxiety with our tackle play right now, which is great. So let's make sure we draft some guys, develop them. You know, we can take our time with a guy that's athletic off the charts, I guess, like Frank Crum, even though we still don't really know what we have in him. Um, I totally forgot about this, Kodiak. But hey, Nick Gargiulo could factor into the offensive line this year too. You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
yeah, very well. But yeah, I'm going to be pissed if we don't draft an offensive lineman this year with like one of our first 5 picks.
Yeah, me too. And Cody brings up a good point in the chat. Remember Watson at right tackle? Dude, I remember all those trash cans. I remember Billy Turner. I remember Donald Stevenson. I remember, I was thinking, wow, Jared Valdir is our best right tackle post Super Bowl 50. I was like, that's absolutely pathetic. Then McGlinchey got here and he was able to cover up a lot of the flaws. Remember, wait, who's that one guy? Fleming or
Oh, dude, Cam Fleming.
yeah, yeah. Guys, I remember all these trash right tackles that we've had. I don't even think Fleming was that bad, but you
Dude,
guys know what I'm saying.
who was the guy that Tyler Columbus replaced?
Schofield,
Schofield, dude. That guy was so bad. How many sacks did he give up to Khalil Mack?
5,
Oh,
which
that's
I
insane.
mean, listen, I remember that game. I was like, why are you not chipping him? But also, remember Jawan James, dude? Jawan James played 70 snaps for us, and he's walking away with like 55 mil.
That was like the Julius Thomas revenge. Well, I guess he went to Jackson. Still the same state of Florida, right?
Yeah.
But Julius Thomas signed in Jacksonville. We're all like, get ready, guys. This guy got his paycheck. He's not going to be anything. And he wasn't. And it was the same thing with these Dolphins fans once we signed Juwan Jennings. I just remember they're all in the comments, all on the message board saying, man, this guy ain't going to play it down, dude. This guy sits out as often as, and they were right, man. They're right. I mean, how many games did he play for us in that time?
So I think he played 3 games. I think he played like 40 snaps. And the most ridiculous thing is so he tears his Achilles in the 2021 offseason, like April or so. So the Broncos cut him because it was within their jurisdiction to do so. I remember all these fans that like got NFL Reddit, which they should have been your first cue is it was NFL Reddit. Man, how could the Broncos do this to this guy? I'm just like, dude, how could he do that to us? And then he leaves the Broncos, signs a 2-year, $12 million deal with the Ravens, and tears his Achilles there as well. Man, would you love to tear your Achilles twice for $55 million in your bank account?
Me,
Yeah, sign
I
yourself
do.
up.
Yeah. If only I could be signed to a $50 million contract as an NFL tackle. Got to put on like 150 more pounds for that. But
Yeah, if only you were 6'6", 350 and had ridiculous athleticism.
yeah, I bet I have short arms like the Patriot, like Will Campbell, whatever. It wouldn't be good. Yeah, I think we'd all tear our Achilles for generational wealth. I think we'd all uh
Exactly.
put up with that. Outside of that, Kodiak, man, I don't know if I got really anything else to talk about. I did see your tweet that you had earlier today about, according to Pro Football Network, I thought that this was interesting. They credited Evan Ingram with 8 drops.
Mhm.
PFF only credited him with 4 drops.
That's
So
that's something that's interesting is that PFR had Harvey with 7, but
yep,
PFF also had Harvey with 3 or 4. So
interesting.
there's a differentiation in how they track drops, but I don't know.
Yeah, we just need shorthanded guys. Once you get to the receivers, check out Jeremy Bernard, man. I've talked about him a little bit from Alabama, but he can do everything you want Marvin Mims to do, except he's 6 feet and he can run better routes. So he
That's
could be
good.
like a second round pick for us.
Yeah, of course. So we'd have 2 guys that we don't know how to utilize properly.
Well, I mean, okay, right now, are you extending Marvin Mims or are you letting him walk next year?
Uh, so if I'm making the decision, I'm extending him not because I think that he would potentially add much, that we don't already see, but because I feel like he's just going to go somewhere else and he's just going to tear it up. And I'm just like, I could not handle that if that were the case. So yes, I would extend him for that
Okay.
reason alone.
Okay. All right. Cool. I want it. I say draft another returner and, we can draft Jeremy Bernard instead. But we won't need to if we go out and get George Pickens or DJ Moore or somebody with a heartbeat that can, elevate this offense. Please. Um, yeah. Any other items we got, Kodiak? I'm trying to think.
I don't think I have anything. Maybe I'll do, I don't know. I'm thinking
Oh,
about some other things. What's up?
so I did want to ask you about this. Theoretically, if Kenyon Sadiq fell to 30, are you drafting him? This is kind of similar to the CJ Allen question. Are you drafting him at 30 or are you going in a different direction?
I mean, this is kind of like a unseasoned chicken analysis, but we'll see what happens. Like, if you're bringing in a couple guys in free agency, then I still don't think tight end is the smartest use of resources in the first round, even though Sadiq's a heck of a player. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, that's a bland response, but it
Yeah.
just depends on what. Because honestly, if you go into this free agency cycle where you're just not adding anybody and you're just like, all right, we'll see what's available in the draft, then you kind of pigeonhole yourself into
Yeah.
having to make that decision. I wouldn't be upset about it, but I'd be like, all right,
If,
we'll take Kenny Sadiq.
if we make Nate Atkins our tight end too, which sounds like is a real possibility based on Mike Kliss's article, yeah, you absolutely, I feel like, got to take him. The one thing, like, I mean, I would be thrilled with Sadiq at 30. The one caveat is that, are we just not going to use tight ends again? That's the only thing I get worried about. I hope not.
I'm worried about that too because it was frustrating, man. It was frustrating all year long that we had Troutman out there when he shouldn't have been out there. Kroll, man, how have we not found somebody better than him yet? Nate Atkins, pure blocker, not bad, not the worst, but why are we lining him out wide during our playoff games? What is that?
Terrible vape preferences.
Yeah, exactly. Nate Atkins, if you guys don't know, he vapes root beer vape. So just based on that alone, I'm not, I'm not going to keep Nate Atkins around on this football team just because of that, and I'm definitely not keeping him at what was it, like 6 mil a year? It's
Yeah, the second round tender at 5.88 or right of first refusal tender at 3.55. I can't believe Cliff just casually dropped that. Like, yeah, my bet is that they'll put this tag on. Dude, who who is telling Mike Cliff that from Dove Valley?
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, I get it. He was kind of like during the Elway years, especially, he was kind of the punching bag just in case things happened that fans didn't like on this team. But man, you've got a little too far. You've got a little too far with putting a blocking tight end who vapes root beer as a second round tender who has like what, probably how many catches did he have last year? Like 8? Like I know he was hurt for a lot of the year, but he adds nothing to this team, in my opinion.
I know, dude. I know. He should be a. You don't tender fullbacks. Like that's essentially what he is. He also plays tight end. Yeah. So, well, Cody, maybe our friends will join us next week. But this was a lot of fun. Tell the people what you got coming up on your channel. Do you have anything planned over at Kodiak Broncos? Guys, subscribe to his channel in the description.
Mm. Well, the offseason never stops with the Broncos. So gonna really ramp it up these next few weeks, talk about free agency, talk about the draft. But you know what? I will do some more deep dives into potential free agency targets. But overall, yeah, I'm just really excited, y'all. I'm really excited for this. I put out a short. If you guys like short form, I am big on that. I know that if you're watching David's channel, he's also really big into short form because I taught him how to do that. Wink,
Yes,
wink.
he did. Yes,
But
he did. He spent 20 minutes with me and it changed my life.
yes, of course. But overall, nah, just check me out. Like, if you just want stuff that's easy to watch and listen to, then I'm your guy. But yeah, it's always a pleasure when I get to come on here with Mr. Talks because I feel like I get to just kick it and just laugh about the Broncos. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Laugh about our dumb moves we're about to make. Sean Payton bong hits. Let's go. Bong hit picks. It's going to be great. Everybody in the chat, you guys were great today. A lot of great discourse. You guys could have been funnier this week, but I'll let it slide. You guys just make sure to bring your A game next week to make us laugh, but greatly appreciate every single one of you guys. Again, go subscribe. Shout out to Kalshi. If you want to predict some sports, get in on their links in the description. We'll see you guys next time. Go Broncos.